Welcome people, welcome back to the channel. Subscribe, turn on your bell notifications if you're new. As always, please do enjoy the content, engage. I'm always happy to see what your guys' thoughts are. And without further ado, we're going to be doing something different with this video. This is going to be a recap for Derrick Chisora versus Kubrat Pulev 2. And recently this just happened a couple of hours ago. I mean, from when this video is going to be uploaded, I don't know how many hours would have passed by then, but it would have been the next day you're going to see this video. But yeah, let's have a recap of this. Chisora and Pulev, even in their old age, they've been boxing quite decently. I believe Pulev, in his last two bouts, I believe he must have boxed somebody recently, and he done that triad sports event where it was a combination of MMA and boxing, and I believe he knocked out his opponent in like 1 or 2 rounds. So he is nowhere near over the hill, it seems. And with Chisora, he had them two bouts with Joseph Parker. His first time round with Parker, I believe he beat him, and then as we know in the rematch, Joseph done his thing and he unanimously won that fight. So going into this, I always believed it was going to be a close one. I didn't really think one was going to do the other. And as the saying goes, styles make fights. You've got Kubrat Pulev wanting to time his opponent, using his jab, using his straight, which effectively in this fight he wasn't able to use. And then you've got Derrick Chisora bobbing and weaving, coming on the inside, trying to cause as much havoc as possible. And then with the build-up for the fight, as you know, they're both colourful characters. The face-to-face on Matchroom Boxing was absolutely hilarious. I mean, with the entirety of that ordeal between those two fighters, you can see Eddie Hearn in the background. It just looked like he wanted to burst out laughing. I mean, it was like Dummer and Dummer having a conversation with each other. It was brilliant, and I mean that in the most respectful way, obviously, because them two, you know, they do well with selling the pay-per-view. But yeah, I mean, the first 2 rounds, Chisora pretty much dominated. He dominated with his jab, his double jab, pushing Pulev back. You know, and that effectively what that's doing is it's throwing Pulev off his timing to throw his right hand. And I think for those 2 rounds, you could see that, you know, it was paying dividends, and obviously with the body work that Chisora was doing as well, that left hook, right hook to the body. And I don't think Kubrat Pulev was ready for the degree of dirtiness Chisora was going to be inside the clinch. And Chisora is one of these fighters that will literally try to take your head off inside of the clinch until the referee pulls him off you. Like, you have to be ready for anything when he closes the distance on you, you know. For him, it's like no holds bar. But for me, as we know, Chisora won this on split decision, but for me, it was a frustrating watch because I think Chisora's got a very decent jab. He's got good body work. Probably the best. Say what you want about him, probably the best body work you're going to get from a heavyweight in the division. I mean, apart from him and Dillian Whyte, who really goes to the body like those two boxers? I mean, obviously, Dillian Whyte's last fight with Fury didn't really get to showcase that, but them two, I mean, you know, they are great at doing that. Now, I was happy with the way those first 2 rounds went, but what Chisora lacks is that little bit of disguise, that trickery, that technical ability to throw a jab, but then think, right, okay, I've put the fear of God in you. Okay, I'm going to throw something that you're not expecting. And as we know, he loves to throw that overhand. He loves that. That's his favourite punch to land. And he probably knows that that's the hardest punch that he can throw. And whenever it lands, it's like a bomb, right? Now, the problem was that after those 2 rounds, Kubrat Pulev had read that what he wanted to do was get in the inside, rough him up, double jab him to the body, soften him up, and then throw that overhand. Now, with the way that Pulev is, he's got some good footwork. And what was happening is he was pulling away as he was throwing the overhand, right? And obviously he got caught with it a lot of the time. But what I think, I mean, if you look back on the highlights for this fight, or you watched the entire fight, at any point you do not see Chisora throw a double jab right hand straight or a double jab right hook. It's literally left hook, right hook to the body, jabs to the face, overhand, right? And what that was doing past the 2 rounds, for the next 3 rounds, Pulev came into it. And on my scorecard, I gave him the most of those rounds. But because he wasn't being sharp, you know, he made a meal out of the whole fight for me, you know. And when you're talking about fighting the top 10, you can't do that. You can't telegraph these big looping punches. And anyone that watches combat sports understands that straight punches beat looping punches. Hooks, overhands, straight punches are quicker, right? And that effectively is what drawn the whole fight, right? And you could see that Chisora had the number of Pulev, right? Like I said, first 2 rounds went to Chisora, and then really the 3rd up to the 5th was neck and neck between both of them, and then the 6th and the 7th, Chisora was landing that massive right hand again. But I think in between, you know, 1 and 7, if he had cleaned up his technique and he was throwing sharp right hands, being elusive, right? Because what Chisora had done, he'd already put the fear of God into Kubrat Pulev. All he needed really was after that 2nd round was to, okay, you're scared of this jab now, right? Maybe throw it again, then feint, and then a right hand behind it. And I don't think Pulev would have seen it. The problem with Pulev is he doesn't move his head off the centre line. He just stands up straight like this and comes forward. He doesn't really move. And that's, you know, that's why he was getting tagged, even with that big overlooping right. But I think Chisora could have got Pulev out of there way quicker within those 7 rounds if Chisora was a little bit sharp of his right hand. Just going straight down the middle, right? Not this big overlooping punch. It got to a point where after that 7th round, Pulev was like, okay, I know what you want to do. You want to double jab me to the body, right? Come forward, right? Fake a little bit to my body and then throw the overhand, right? And he read it. And that's when you saw from 8th up to 11th, Pulev really turned the corner. And for me, he stormed those rounds completely. He got his timing right. He didn't allow Chisora to push the pace, to old man him. He pushed him against the ropes where he could really use his reach to use that European style of the 1-2 down the middle. But it wasn't enough, and makes you think, had Pulev been a little bit more prepared for those first initial 5 rounds, he could have nabbed the decision. He could have taken it. But hey, look, that's boxing. I am happy for Derrick Chisora. He gets to advance now. And look, I mean, he is 38, but it seems like as if he's got a little bit more juice in the tank. And in his post interview, you've got him calling out the likes of the Bronze Bomber. And honestly, I don't know how to feel about that whatsoever. I mean, he could, you know what? I think he could push him. We all know that Wilder does not like being roughed. I mean, we've seen that with the way that Fury fought him. I'd say the two fights after the first, with Fury had cracked the code that he didn't like, you know, the distance being closed on him. But as we know with Wilder, he's got that one-time detonation bomb with that cannon right hand of his. And, you know, there can be absolutely no room for error for Chisora. And look, Wilder might have lost that trilogy with Fury, but you can put that man with any other heavyweight on the planet, and if he lands that right hand, even at 60%, these heavyweights, they're going to be dancing on ice. You know, they're going to be sent for a taxi because it is unlimited power in that right hand. You know, the right hand that I think it was the first knockdown in the third fight against Fury. Punches like that, you shouldn't get up from. And the way that Fury got caught, he walked into the punch. He just walked into it. He didn't see it and move with the punch. He just walked into it. Those are the punches that send you to the fucking shadow realm, as far as I'm concerned, right? And how he survived, I'll never understand, right? He got hit, and then Fury's like just looking around like, oh, here we go again. But yeah, I don't know how to feel about Chisora fighting Wilder. If anything, I think Wilder would win that fight. But look, I think if Chisora, you know, could really start landing some crisper straight punches, you know, he could very well have a chance. And just to add very quickly, it's like his corner, Chisora's corner, it was annoying me. You know, his corner telling him, yeah, you're doing well, you're going well to the body, but you know, you could see that Pulev could see the overhand past the midway point of these rounds, and it wasn't landing. And I was thinking, you know, why don't you tell him to shoot to the body, right? A right hook. You know, you can double up on one side. You can go right hook to the body, yeah, and then right hook to the head. I mean, right straight to the head. Mix it up. Make it unconventional for him, right? And I'm just hearing the same old in between rounds when he goes back to his corner. Yeah, you're doing great. Go to the body, double jab him, yeah, and then overhand and time the overhand. And as you're watching the fight, in certain rounds, you can see his corner celebrating when the overhand lands. But, you know, where's the backup plan when that punch doesn't land? Where is it? You know, when you're doing it against the top 10, top 5, and you're going to miss that punch, these guys have got fucking 5 different combinations going to hit you back with. So, you know, I'd like to see a little bit more focus from Chisora's corner, in my opinion. And look, I guess we'll get to see how it all plays out. But guys, thank you all for watching. Subscribe to the channel if you're new. Leave a like on this video, comment, tell me your thoughts. Who should Chisora's next opponent be? And yeah, like he said, he doesn't want fish and chips anymore. He wants caviar. And yeah, guys, thank you all for watching. I'll see you in the next one. Cheers.